Now, in the particular case of Botswana, which is not a big agricultural producer, so Botswana it's largely the Kalahari Desert, so it's a semi-arid country. And the pillars of that economy are grass-fed beef production, high-end ecotourism, and precious diamond production. So I think the advice in the case of Botswana is you should focus on those industries. Don't worry too much about agricultural production because you can import this food from elsewhere, namely South Africa. So Botswana, from the early 90s, abandoned a policy of food self-sufficiency. That is an attempt to try to produce the food it needs within its borders, and instead has relied on a food security policy that you're going to make enough revenue to buy adequate calories to feed your population. And I think the issue there is that in a resource-dependent economy, though that wealth tends not to be distributed very evenly, so it's a highly inequitable country. So you have this poor population that is dependent on food imports. So what do you do when that food gets expensive? Now Botswana, to its credit, has a pretty extensive set of state subsidies, so to help the poorest of the poor. But a lot of people are saying now that the government can't sustain that indefinitely, these supports to the poor. And so I think we may be at a point where we need to begin to think about agriculture in a slightly different way. That it's not just about producing food, but it's also a livelihood, it's a safety net for the poorest of the poor, and that it's worthwhile investing in an approach to agriculture that's that is accessible to the poor in order to avoid or to minimize hunger amongst that segment of the population.